Hi everyone, my name is Agnes Fries, and I am the creator of an online tool called the Grid Designer. The Grid Designer is used to create color charts for multiple crafts. That includes cross stitch, latch hook, crochet, knitting, corner to corner crochet, and pretty much any kind of craft where you would need to create a grid-based color chart.
In this video, I'm going to show how to select and use repeating patterns in the Grid Designer pattern library. In particular, I'm going to be showing two tools in the paste tool set, two new tools that one that fills the entire grid with a repeating pattern, and another one that will fill a contained area with a repeating pattern. That area that it fills is much like the fill tool that's on the main menu, except it will, instead of filling it with a solid color, it's going to fill it with the pattern that you've selected or whatever is in your paste item. So this particular video, I think, is going to be a little bit longer than my usual videos because I want to be able want to show kind of everything, and then I want to show things that you can do with it, so that you have an idea how to work with the tools. So first, it's going to be in four parts, and the first part is going to be just me showing you how those two tools work. And then the next three parts are going to be me making particular rugs. And I have a cold today, unfortunately, so I'm intending to speak over the first part where I explain how the tools work. And then I will be making these rugs. And this is a kind of a modern one here with a little wiggle pattern. The pattern was contributed by Eric Quayle. And this is the next one is a Celtic pattern. And then the third one here is going to be this bird pattern. So I'm going to show you how I make each of these rugs. So probably the video is going to be a little longer than the usual one. But first I'm going to just show you in general how the tools work. If that's all you want to know, then just need the first 1/4 of this video. But if you want to see the tools in action and see these rugs being built, watch the rest of the video and see how that's done. Okay, so starting here from freeze-works.com, I'm going to start the grid designer here. And notice that I have Grid Designer open in 4 tabs. That's not usually recommended. You really want to have just one tab open, but I just have those sitting there. I'm not doing anything in those at the same time. You could end up with kind of conflicting things going on if you're trying to edit in 2 different tabs at the same time. You should only have one tab up when you're doing any kind of editing. Okay, so let's go and make our grid. Let's just go ahead and we'll work with this default grid here. And I'm just going to make it bigger. So I'm going to go to display grid size and let's do it 200 by 200 because some patterns are kind of big. So let's go and do 200 by 200. Okay, so now we have our grid set to that. Okay, and we're going to go look into the library here. And I'm going to show you how you can select repeating tools. There are some tags in here that do apply under this filter. So we'll pick filter, and I'm going to show you all the tags that apply to this. There is a borders tag. This is intended for repeating borders, sections of borders that you can stamp across the outside of a pattern. We'll go ahead and select that. And then there are some corners that go with those borders. So you can select corner. Then there are things that fill large areas. So that's a fill or repeat. And so I'm going to select that tag there. Now, both the fill repeat and the border are considered to be repeating items. So you can get both the fill repeat and the borders by scrolling down and selecting repeat. But in this particular instance, I'm just going to select all 3 of them together. So let's go with go. And okay, and so now we have borders. Now some of these things are like borders that go around the edge, like this one. This is a corner piece here. There's some smaller borders like this. There's things that are pretty good for like knitting and things like that. Little smaller pieces. There's some corners here that you can play with. Um, when I do the Celtic rug, I'll be showing more about corners and how to build the border around there. Oh, and also the rug with the birds at the end also uses a corner scroll like this with a drawing around it. So there's some corners in those two sections. But for now, I just want to pick up something. Let's see. Let's try this H interlocked here. Let's do this one. Okay, that looks actually kind of pretty with the red and the blue. We have to convert the colors that we have into, so the patterns are made in the patterns in the library may be made in any palette. So when you go to use them for the palette that you're currently editing with, you have to pick a color from that current palette. So let's pick a color from here. This is like a black, it looks like a black edge. We click on closest, we'll just get black here. And then if we pick this one, let's just pick that little brighter blue there. That might be a little strong on the eyes if you used it for a rug, but let's just go ahead and do that so we can see what's going on here. So we get this little piece of the pattern here, and you can put it anywhere you want on your grid. And the two buttons that I've been talking about are these two buttons down here. This one is fill the entire grid with a paste item. And this one is fill a particular area with the paste item. So first let's do this one, fill entire grid. So if I click on this, I now get that pattern repeated across my entire grid. Now it will repeat across the entire grid regardless of what you've got drawn on your grid. So this one is just a kind of a wipe out the whole grid and do this. And in my that first project, the one with the wiggly lines, I'll do this one like this, and then add a border on the outside, and that's a very simple way to make a rug. So you could see you could just add a border on the outside of this, and you'd have a rug design. Pick your favorite colors or something that goes with the decor in your house, and that would work out really well. And by the way, these are things that you could do also and crochet graphkins. Um, some of them may be a little complicated for knitting. You'd have to look at each particular pattern and see what you think about that. Okay, so if you don't like where you place it or whatever, you can just do an undo and the whole thing will go away. Okay, now let's close out of here and then we want to draw kind of a contained area. So I'm going to just draw an outline of a circle, let's say. Let's pick U shape, and we're just going to draw a nice circle like this, okay? And then that goes into paste tools also. And we're just going to apply it to the grid. So now, when I go and I pick my paste item again, I need to pick this again also, like that. Say use pattern, then I get this pattern here. Now, I can use this to fill inside of this area if I want to. If I click on fill entire grid, it will fill the entire grid again. Okay, but if I want it to be contained within a particular area, then I pick on this one here and I get it just in that area. And it works also like on the outside of the area too. So say we undo that and we want to put the pattern all the way around the object, we can do that also. Okay. If you're in general, you're pasting, something that's a small paste item into a larger area when you're doing a fill. But I just want you to be aware that this dot in the center of this has some meaning. If you, let's undo this. Okay. If I place the dot inside of the circle, regardless of where the outside square is, it will fill in the circle. If I place that dot just outside, then it's going to fill in the outside of that. So where that dot is placed, and this is mostly important if you are trying to fill a smaller area, but where the dot is placed is what is used to select the area that will be filled. So where the dot is selects the area. That's just something to remember if you think it's working in an odd way. Okay, so those are the two basic fill tools. And now I'm going to go ahead and draw the first design. So let's go ahead and come out of here. Okay, and then I'm going to do this mostly in silent mode at this point, I think, just to save my voice a bit for the day. And I will try and do things slowly so that you can watch where I'm clicking, what I'm doing, what I'm selecting, and that kind of thing. Okay. And one thing I want to say here, let me just undo this, is that you can make any, the things that you do the fill with, they don't have to be items that are just in the library. So for instance, if I just take this one item and I apply it once to the grid, then I can modify it in whatever way I want. I'm going to just pick the blue color here and maybe draw a line on the outside of it just to modify my item. Okay. And then whatever I select here, and applies to anything that you draw, you don't have to get it out of the library in order to do the repeating of the fill or anything like that. So let's go ahead and select this rectangle. I got one row too much on the top. Okay, so I've got my rectangle here, and I'm going to do a repeat of this, and it could be anything that you've drawn on your grid that you can select. And it works with the other selection tools too, not just the rectangular select. If you want to see that, go and look at the cut, copy, and paste video. That will show you all the ways to select things. I want to actually cut it. Okay, like that. And then I want to paste it back like this. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I'm just going to do this large fill entire grid with the paste item like that. And now, I have the lines in between it, which I think kind of looks nice. So I like that idea. So um, what we want to do is I could have added, if I wanted it to repeat 3 by 3, I could have added a few more rows on the bottom here. I could undo it and add a few rows and then do the fill again. But I'm going to go ahead and just make this a little bit smaller, this rug. So it's nice to have a large area to start with and then just, cut back on whatever it is that you need to cut back on. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm just going to delete a few rows in here. I'll delete a few rows from this down to the bottom. Okay. And then we're going to delete a few columns over here where we have a little extra like that. Okay, so now we have a nice little rectangular area. Okay, now I'm going to just create a border for this, and I'm going to use this grid size thing to do it. First thing that you have to do is if you, whatever color you want your border to do, if you're going to do it this way, you need to set your background color to that color, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to add a few rows and columns all the way around this, and they will be filled with the background color. So I'm setting my background color to white. I'm going into here, grid size, and I'm going to add, let's say 20 rows and 20 columns. And right now they're being added on the bottom and the right, but we can change the way that we want to do that by selecting both top and bottom and both left and right. And now we'll have 10 added all the way around in the background color, which is currently white. So I say Save Changes, and now I have a nice border all the way around my rug. And that is the first rug that I was going to show here. I picked a slightly different color of blue, it looks like. And if you want to change your colors, you can go in here and say substitute colors. And this is really nice because you can just play with things. You can say, what would it look like in yellow? What would it look like in green? What would it look like in, brown or something like that? Violet, that could be really pretty. And then you say convert pattern and you have your pattern like that. That is easier. You could use the fill tool, to substitute colors, but it's much faster to go and do the substitution up here. And then, when the colors are all separated, it will do all of that color. And that works much more efficiently. Okay, now we're going to build this Celtic rug.